My husband suddenly announced, "From now on, we're splitting everything, 50-50. I'm only responsible for myself." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just looked at him calmly and said, "Okay." The next morning, he got dressed in his tailored suit and frowned. "Where's breakfast?" A cold smile touched my lips. "We're 50-50, remember? You're on your own." He froze. I smiled. This was just the beginning. The candlelight from our third anniversary dinner cast a glacial glow on the laptop screen Matt had pushed in front of me. He had meticulously crafted an Excel spreadsheet. The title, in a cold, sans serif font, read, "Proposal for the Optimization of Marital Finances." Optimization. What an insult. "Sophie, we need to talk." His voice was devoid of warmth, as if he were leading a trivial weekly meeting with his department. He explained that with his 7-figure salary and my status as a full-time homemaker, our financial model was unhealthy. For the long-term health of our home, he proposed that starting tomorrow, all living expenses would be split 50-50. He never once mentioned our 7 years together, the 3 years we'd been married. He didn't mention how I'd abandoned a promising career as a CPA to become the unhealthy stay-at-home wife he now looked down upon. The entire conversation was about money, efficiency, return on investment, disdain. It pricked my skin like 1,000 invisible needles. I looked at him, the man I had loved for 7 years, the man I had married, and saw a stranger. A fist clenched around my heart, so tight I could barely breathe, but I didn't weep or question him. I just gave a slight nod. Okay, just like that, he had quantified our marriage into a cold, sterile financial report. Fine. He shouldn't be surprised when I decide to settle the accounts using the very methods he so admired. He seemed taken aback by my calm acceptance, but his surprise was quickly overshadowed by a wave of palpable relief. He closed the laptop. "Get some rest," he said, the words as robotic as a pre-programmed response. We lay in bed with our backs to each other, a chasm wider than the Grand Canyon separating us. The next morning, my internal clock woke me at the usual time, but instead of heading to the kitchen to prepare his 3-minute soft-boiled eggs and pour over coffee, I sat at my vanity, methodically applying my skincare and makeup. Matt emerged from the walk-in closet, wrestling with his tie, his brow furrowed in annoyance. "Where's my blue striped shirt? Why wasn't it ironed?" I met his gaze in the mirror. "It's in the closet. You can find it yourself," I said, my voice light. "The iron is in the storage room. You can get that yourself, too." He froze, his hands hovering over his tie. "What's that supposed to mean?" I swiveled on my stool to face him, a faint smile playing on my lips as I met his questioning stare. "It means exactly what you think it means. 50-50. He still didn't seem to grasp it. He strode into the dining room, his irritation boiling over as he stared at the empty table. "Breakfast? 50-50, remember, Mr. Director?" I stood up and walked toward him, enunciating each word with chilling clarity. "From the moment you made your little announcement last night, I became responsible for my own breakfast. As for yours, you're on your own." He stood there, completely rigid, his face a mask of disbelief. "Sophie, are you serious? You're going to act like this over a little thing?" "This isn't a little thing, Matt. These are the new rules of our marriage. You made them." I grabbed my purse, my heels clicking decisively on the hardwood floor as I walked past him. The front door slammed shut behind him with a resounding bang, the sound of his wounded pride. Standing alone in the cavernous living room, I listened to the echo, the smile on my face growing colder. I went into the study and opened the laptop I hadn't touched in 3 years. The familiar operating system flickered to life. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I created a new Excel spreadsheet. I named it Marriage Liquidation. I listed our condo, purchased after we were married, and calculated its current market rental value, $6,000 a month. I owed my half, $3,000. Utilities, gas, internet, HOA fees all split down the middle. That evening, Matt came home reeking of whiskey. He instinctively reached for the light switch in the study, flicking it several times, but the room remained shrouded in darkness. "What the hell is wrong with the study light?" he grumbled, stumbling back into the living room. I was sitting on the sofa, bathed in the soft glow of a single floor lamp on my side. The light and shadow drew a stark line between us. "Nothing's wrong with it," I said, looking up. "I just unscrewed the bulb." "Are you insane, Sophie?" "Not at all. According to our call log, you called me twice today for a total of 1 minute and 30 seconds. You never expressed a shared need for the study's electrical circuit. Therefore, I assumed you had relinquished your right to use it." He stormed across the room and tried the main switch for the living room chandelier. "Nothing. What the hell are you trying to do?" he roared, pointing an accusatory finger at me. I picked up a freshly printed sheet of A4 paper from the coffee table and slapped it down in front of him. Bold, black letters spelled out the title, Household Resource Usage Agreement. "This is an execution framework based on the 50-50 principle you proposed. It clearly delineates the shared and private zones of our home. The sofa is half yours, half mine. However, the electricity account for the main lights is under my name. So is the internet for the study. For your designated areas and associated utilities, please open your own accounts." He snatched the agreement, his hands trembling with rage. For the first time, he saw the unfamiliar coldness, the sharp edge of steel, in his once docile wife's eyes. Just as he was about to rip the paper to shreds, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the caller ID, and the fury on his face instantly melted into a tenderness I had never seen before. He walked out to the balcony, deliberately lowering his voice, but fragments of his conversation drifted back to me. "Aaron, don't cry. Of course I believe you. It's my fault." Aaron, his college sweetheart, the one that got away. The name was a poison blade, plunging straight into the barely scabbed over wound in my heart. So, this whole financial optimization was just a smokescreen, a prelude to clearing the stage for another woman. I watched his silhouette on the balcony, his voice a low, patient murmur as he soothed her. Then I looked back at the cold, sterile agreement he'd tossed on the sofa. I laughed. Excellent, Matt. The liquidation has now officially begun. Saturday morning, I was jolted awake by the deafening roar of the vacuum cleaner. Matt, his face a thundercloud, was cleaning only his half of the living room. Our 1,500 square foot condo now had a bizarre, demilitarized zone of filth running down the middle. My side was spotless. His was a landscape of dust bunnies. He stared at the half-clean, half-dirty room, a vein throbbing in his temple, but he couldn't say a word. The agreement was clear. Household sanitation is the responsibility of the individual. His dirty laundry piled up in the guest room, forming a small mountain. I walked past it every day without a second glance. Finally, unable to stand it anymore, he shoved the entire load into the washing machine. Half an hour later, a strangled cry echoed from the laundry room. I found him holding my cream-colored silk blouse, now grotesquely tie-dyed with splotches of blue from his jeans, shrunken into a wrinkled mess. "Sophie, why didn't you take your clothes out?" he bellowed, brandishing the ruined shirt. I leaned against the doorframe, my expression impassive. "Mr. Director, the washing machine is a shared appliance. According to the agreement, the user must ensure it is empty prior to operation. You failed to perform your due diligence, resulting in damage to my personal property." I returned to my room, pulled up my tablet, and displayed the digital receipt for the blouse. "Here it is. I bought it last month. $350. Per Article 3 of the Household Property Damage Compensation Clause, the party at fault is responsible for full reimbursement." I sent him a payment request by a text. He stared at his phone, trembling with rage, and spat out a single word, "Schemer." "Exactly," I admitted calmly. "The 50-50 rule taught me well. It's best to keep a clear ledger, lest I take advantage of you." He didn't transfer the money immediately, just glared at me as if I were his mortal enemy. That night, he had an important industry gala to attend. He was tearing through the closet, growing more and more agitated. "Where's my tie? The Hermes one, the midnight blue with the star pattern. Where is it?" I was on the sofa, reading a book, and didn't bother to look up. "I put it away." "Where did you put it? Get it for me now," he yelled, storming out of the bedroom. I slowly turned a page. "Matt, according to our prenuptial agreement, all my jewelry, clothing, and accessories are my personal property. I bought that tie. Therefore, it's mine." I finally looked up at him. "If you wish to use it, you can rent it. Based on current market rates, that will be $30 for the evening, with a $500 security deposit." "Are you out of your mind, Sophie?" He had completely lost it. "You're going to charge me for a tie? You were the one who charged me for a piece of toast," I said, closing my book and meeting his furious gaze. "You made the rules, Matt. I'm just enforcing them."